fun to watch. I think Jackson was pretty entertaining. I don't think he made too many mistakes at all.
No, he did not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Chased down early breaks that needed to be, sat in, recovered, marked the guy you had to mark.
Yep. Good
and
sprint
boom.
in the end.
Yep.
I was out the back watching.
He didn't get it from his father.
Well, you didn't have to say it.
We already knew.
Hey,
I
Captain
used
Obvious.
to be good. I used to be good. Once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
And now I'm just a guy with a podcast. Just like everybody else. Oh, everything's good. We're going live. We're good to see. All right. Time to play bikes. Rhyme of the night. Another weekend of racing again under our belt. Many of us were forced to use the card. Unfortunately, we were dealt. Jackson came through to help us all save face, thanks to fine teamwork and a strong third fucking place. Welcome to episode 481. Let that sink in. 481 episodes of the longest standing podcast, and it's about cycling. This is the one and only Packfiller Cycling Podcast. You guys think of us as a post-ride beer with several friends and one asshole. I am potentially that asshole. My name's Pat Bulger. Not your usual cycling podcast filled with results and stats. No, we don't fuck around that. We're more of a cycling soap opera. Let's meet tonight's characters. Shall we, with our Scratch prologue? Gentlemen, the question from Scratch tonight is, what is something you can't believe you have found yourself doing that your parents did? You know that I'm never going to do that, and then one day you catch yourself doing it. All right. Let it sink in. Paul's in thought. Paul, I let him go. Okay. First and foremost, from what I hear, he's the topless guy in the feed zone, Mr. Paul Main.
Yeah.
Were you really topless in the feed zone?
I was. I let my old man skin and blubber hang over the belt.
What?
Yeah. Didn't you see me? I didn't have my shirt on.
No, really?
Yeah.
I looked right at you.
I know.
Yeah.
I was seeing black. Yeah. All right.
Good for you. When he never have to say his eyes are up here. You were looking at his eyes.
I was.
That's a good thing. That's a good
I was
thing.
looking at his hands, actually.
Yeah. Oh.
I was just getting my vitamin D.
Yeah. You know what big hands means?
More bottles to be handed out.
And big gloves. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. First and foremost, how are you, man?
Doing all right?
Yeah, and medical update.
Yeah, I'm progressing. Had first session of PT today. Unfortunately, saw Sam there.
Oh
yeah.
That's a shame.
That always kind of brought everything down.
Yeah.
Doing worse.
Yeah, after that, then the pain really... It wasn't so much where I crashed.
Yeah.
But, like, right in my ass when I saw him.
Yeah. Puckered up.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
It's like a big old pain in the ass.
Did he look at you from across the room and go, hi?
He came around the desk where I was waiting.
Okay.
He's like, hey! Typical
He does that every
Sam.
time I would show up, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got to do it loudly because, the average PT clientele. So, Paul, what is something you can't believe you have found yourself doing that your parents did?
Yeah, and I've talked about it before, is plucking my nose hair in the car. Almost a spit take there, buddy. Yeah.
What? It's the glass that dribbled.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to blame it on the glass.
Yep.
Picking your nose hairs while I drive down.
Yeah.
Have I asked this question before?
No, but I think there's something else that I
Okay.
mentioned that
you're
something I shouldn't do
you're
in the
embarrassed
car.
to do. Yeah.
Something embarrassing.
Okay.
Something you do in the car that you should.
Next off, from what I hear, notice the common theme. From what I hear, he's going to need to come with me to Breck Epic in order to meet his racing goals for the year, Mr. David Waples.
Possibly correct.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Possibly correct.
Well, about fucking time.
Jesus.
Get your cans on. Get ready for the.
So, David, we're recording a podcast here, Mr. Waples. What starts with shut the and ends with fuck up?
I don't know. What?
You!
Oh.
Yeah, I'm asking your brother if he's coming to Colorado with me.
Oh, I'm still looking for races. I don't know. That's very hard to commit to. I wish I could.
You only have to do 3 of them. You don't have to do all 6.
And apparently I get a free camping site.
You get a free camping site, and I got an email from them today saying that I get a free
entry.
jersey.
I'll be there. Oh.
No, jersey, Castelli jersey, custom. Yeah, I get to pick my color and everything like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
Does everybody get that?
yeah. All the entrants do.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm in.
Okay.
So how much was that insurance?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, maybe not.
I don't want to talk about
But
it.
I get a free jersey.
Yep. That's $100. David, what is something you can't believe you found yourself doing that your parents did?
I was gonna say either turning the lights off or keeping my shop clean. My dad, every time he comes over, he's like, "I cannot believe you clean your shop," because I used to destroy his
Really?
and just leave tools out and not do anything. And now I have a shop and I clean it all the time. Sweep the floors.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So, my shop is really bad right now. Really bad. Right? Did that whole bottle spill?
No, it didn't. But I'm just making a ruckus.
Yeah, you do that every week.
Sam's here.
Yeah, it is. It is Sam, and I guess we should introduce him because he's fucking here. From what I hear, he's likely still hungover from last week, Mr. Sam Waples.
My God.
I show up to the road race this weekend, and I see, there's the guys, and you're just like in this fetal position on your side, just out cold, and it's just, you truly look like you were going through some sort of personal
After
hell.
a 15-minute time trial.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you guys have seen me in the last, podcasts. Like, I haven't been drinking that much, right? Like, I have to have this tonight because I'm probably going through withdrawal.
Yeah,
symptoms.
it's the
like,
DTs. Yeah.
From a week of just like drinking and riding my bike. That was a low for me. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Yeah.
What is something you can't believe you found yourself doing that your parents did? A trait.
Probably like wearing dorky sunglasses, like sports sunglasses when, we're out and about.
Oh, so you will wear like Oakleys,
Like my
but
Oakleys,
not when it's Oakley
because
time.
my dad always wore his like cycling glasses, and it was like I used to have like more Ray-Bans and stuff, and then now I'm like, I have these.
Your dad probably did it in the 80s when it was cool.
Yeah.
Like I remember walking around with my Oakley razors, and that was cool. But now, no
That
way.
or like
But
tall
you're doing
tube
it.
socks.
You do? Oh no, those aren't tall. You want tall?
Those are compression stockings.
These are not
You got
compression.
Ted hose on. Oh my!
Those are
God.
compression stuff.
Those
They
are
are not compression socks. They're gold toe dress socks.
Gold toes?
Yeah,
No way.
What does that mean? They're gold toes.
That's
it's the brand.
It's the brand that all
the
the old
toe
people
is-
wear.
And they don't match.
gold.
That is hilarious.
But they're close.
How much compression's in those? 10 to 20?
It's not a compression sock. It's a dress sock.
Sure.
20.
And Bombas, I have Bombas. These might be Bombas.
The Bombas compression socks? I have
No, they're
those.
not compression socks. They're comfortable when you pull them.
The good thing about those, because they're compression socks, you don't have those
Fuck
little
it, they're not
suspenders.
compression socks.
Oh,
Oh, the little things around your calf that clips onto them.
can't keep them from going down.
That is old school.
But since they're compression, they don't slide down.
There we go. They're not compression. Me, from what I hear, I can't seem to stop sucking when it comes to racing my bike. I'm Pat Bolger, and I find that I mumble like my dad. And my wife's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Are you listening?" Or she'll say what, and I'll say it even loud, like super loud, because I'm frustrated.
But
because-
mumbling.
Yeah, it was my fault in the first place. I'm the asshole who did it. And I also worry about little things, and I walk around the house turning lights off.
So annoying.
That is why Wi-Fi based bulbs are the best thing in the world. I can tell who to shut off the entire house, and it saves me. Dishes not being done. Oh my God, I hate the dishes not being done, and I think that came from. That's just my old man coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I sound gravelly anymore, or is it still there?
You sound pretty normal.
Yeah,
Really?
that's good, yeah.
It's still a little. Well, I'll get to my excuses when we talk about racing. Speaking of which, we are all apparently at different levels of cycling lives right now. So let's check in on how each of us are doing. Paul, we kind of talked about the recovery thing. Was there an official diagnosis at any point in time?
I just need some therapy, movement.
Okay.
Yeah. About it.
HTFU.
Did you talk to her?
No.
Yeah. That was about it. She didn't dig around just in case it was broken. So
Wow.
yeah.
Probably smart.
That is
Did you try
so
some
weird.
dry needling on you?
Yeah, I didn't feel it.
Really?
Yeah, until she went away from the spot. She goes, "Do you feel that tingling yet?" And I said, "Well, now I do. The coolness and the tingling." I said, "Now I do." But when she was working that spot, I felt nothing.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you're fucked. Just kidding.
Just
Yeah,
like,
bury him.
Yeah, bury him. He's
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
I was thinking,
Euthanasia. That's the
yeah,
answer.
that's the only answer. Put him
That's
below
so-
dirt.
I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but how hard was it to be at the races this weekend and not racing? Did you have that FOMO?
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, of course, when I don't know. When I looked up the group that I would have signed up for, I'm thinking, that I probably wouldn't really like to race that group. It was pretty thin compared to
It was.
Yeah, well, of course, I have people that I want to beat, and they weren't there.
Yeah. Oh.
So then, it's a different game.
Yeah.
So, the crit would have been a little bit more exciting, but the road race, I was pretty disappointed in the turnout.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know who was in your field because
they caught you?
the front runners caught me. So what now that you're mobile to an extent, you're able to rotate and actually put a beer on the bar and stuff like that. What's the goal shift now for the season?
I'm just ride.
You
I'll ride, and EPO is my target. I'll do, the TNTs. My wife's taking on a new position, allows me to do TNTs.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yep. And also whatever's left of our Thursday night races, and then the EPO.
Okay.
And I talked to our buddy Jack, and I said, Jack, there's no 60s category. We'll race together in the 50s. And he sent me pictures that he got licensed.
Wow.
Gonna be there.
Was it license number like 47?
Something like that.
I wonder if his is grandfathered in like mine is.
Let's
gotta
see if I
be.
can see his number.
Yeah, mine's 5401.
That's
Oh.
insane.
I've filled out online forms for races and it says license number incomplete.
You have 2 less numbers than me.
Yeah.
same.
That's crazy.
It used to be L26053,
Wow.
and I still remember that.
Because that's your password for everything.
No,
how you
just
get
my
in-
banking.
That's how you get into Pat's house.
Jack's number is 4928.
Wow. His is lower than mine? Mother. God.
Yep.
I had
That
one
is-
thing.
That's crazy.
One thing I was good at,
Yeah,
and that's
you're
for
not-
doing something too long.
You're not that good anymore.
Oh, wow.
Mine's 49233.
Sam and David Waples, you had pretty much been racing for the last 15 or so odd days. How are you guys feeling, and how did the week go in terms of objectives versus reality?
You know those National Geographic documentaries that have like lions mating, and they're like you see them at the end of the mating season, and the males are just like shriveled and dead.
Oh, I
That's
thought
how
you guys
I
were
feel.
saying like you were.
Boy,
having
that was a
sex in the
weird
dirt.
way
Yeah,
to
this
go.
was a really
No,
good-
like I
use
feel like I
better
went into the
metaphors.
season, like yeah, I'm ready to take it on, and now I'm just like this withered little like I'm dying on the inside. That is Spokane Super Week is the greatest idea of stupid things I've ever done, and I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, because you guys went 24-hour into the Wednesday night series. Did we have a Thursday night?
We didn't have a Thursday night race, so we did the Thursday night TNT.
You did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a Saturday 2-stage and Sunday road stage.
Yeah, 6 races, 9 days.
Yep.
David, how'd your experience go?
Well, I had a lot of fun at the 24-hour race as usual. Wednesday was great. Well, it looks like if you look online, it looks like
I won.
Sam won on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's
somebody,
a little fucked
Somebody
up.
actually came up to me today in the clinic and they were like, "My husband looked at the results from last Wednesday. Your brother beat everybody by like 5 minutes." And I was like, "No, he did not. He lost by
But he
5
did.
minutes." They switched our results. I have his time, he has mine. Anyways, so that went well, and then. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the weekend had good and bad. The only thing I could say about the road race was pretty happy with last year. So, yeah.
How did your guys' road race go? I don't even know how it turned out because I left after one lap.
It hurt. It honestly, I felt pretty good in the sense of like being in several of the moves. There was like the guys were just like, this is not going to stay together, right? And people were just nonstop attacking. And then there was a pretty I was in a pretty good break, and then the group caught us very strung out. A attack went off of that, and David was kind of chasing that down. So I was like, oh thank God, David's up there.
Yeah.
And then David fell out of it, and then
I never quite made it on, to be fair.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then I saw that.
Yeah, I was,
And then I started. I'm like, okay, well, we got to chase. So I was like, I'm going to close this gap as much as I can, and hopefully Ryan can shoot up there with somebody. So then Jackson came to my rescue and pulled us for pretty much the remainder of the lap. Yeah. And then somewhere towards the second end of the lap, like I was, not going to let this one group go that I was kind of, bumping arms with and not in the best mood with. And so how it came down was basically Ryan was off the front. These two guys and I started chasing him down, and I'm like, I'm not going to help you. That's my teammate up there.
Yeah.
So they did all the work to pull us up, and then I ended up cramping up in the last little climb that we had before the downhill
into the sprint.
Yeah. So not
Where'd
great.
you finish?
I don't know where I finished. I don't even know where I finished for the TT. I know I survived it, and I took a really good nap.
I never looked at the results. It wouldn't have been worth it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been worth it.
I didn't either.
Yeah, it's not even, I wasn't.
I mean, I think that's. I'm happy with how my legs came back on the Sunday road race, but that too, but the Saturday road race. Because when I showed up to the Saturday morning time trial, I was not there.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So, for those of you who are wondering what the hell we're talking about, that we have our arguably our biggest road weekend of the year. We have a classic 3-stage stage race called the River City Cycling Classic, or RC3. We've been talking about it for quite a while, but hey, if you don't live around here, you're forgiven for not knowing what the hell we're talking about. And the highlight of the weekend was Jackson pulling off third place in the Criterium on Sunday, so that was great to see. Me, I had to go to my contractual obligation on Sunday for my job. Yeah, it is. Actually, it's where I start my bitching. I got gut punched yet again on that road race. Okay, I'm gonna whine. I did more preparation this winter and spring than I have done in a long time. My weight is down. I'm about 3 pounds from my target weight. And I sucked donkey balls on Saturday. I honestly was absolutely terrible. The pace went up, and I was like, oh, fuck. I got dropped 3 times, and I got back on 2 times. And, I didn't finish. And I'm a little concerned. Hoping it was due to the fact that I didn't get a whole lot of riding in May because...
2?
I got basically 2 or 3 rides in for the month of May, leading up to it. Well, I mean, but if the fitness was there, you would think you'd have enough at least to hold on.
No.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, you can't. The thing is accelerations are completely. That's where the training comes in.
Yeah.
You have plenty of base. So your base is what kept you from getting back. I mean, allowing you to get back in. Yeah. But you can only do that so many times. Yeah. Especially when you're sick.
Yeah, and I was hoping it was, related, lingering residual COVID issues or something like that, and and to see where we go from there. So, I was pretty gosh darn upset.
How did you not finish? Wasn't it one? Was it 1 lap or 2?
It was 2.
Oh,
really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I do suck now.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes. No, definitely not.
So, and priorities are shifting here. You guys are talking about the RC3, which is a Criterium weekend. Mm-hmm. I've got 75-mile gravel race in 2 weeks. I've got 2 weeks after that, I've got a 100-mile gravel race. And then I've got about...
What's that one?
BWR.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
You're right.
And then about 4 weeks after that, I've got Breck Epic, which is I'm only doing 3 stages, but that's still 20 to 40 mile mountain bike rides every day, all over 10,000 feet. So so I got to get ready for that. Yeah. So my training shift is going to obviously shift a little bit, but I still am going to do the Twilight Series. I'm still going to do some TNTs with you guys because obviously that's what's needed. And we go from there. But boy, oh boy, when you're like coming into spring, you're like going, I'm gonna actually go across the finish line with the race. I'm gonna actually have my head held high and not rely upon my results from 1982 to define who I am. But no, Nope. Line up the donkey balls. I puckered up. Yeah, and it was just absolutely frustrating. And I don't want to have excuses. I've never been the kind of guy who wants to finish a race and go, well, it's because I haven't done this and this is that and the other thing. And, my stars aren't in alignment and, my chakra's off and my asshole's pucked up. But it's just, come on.
I think we can all admit that if I'm here, I'm the asshole, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm the first person to call somebody a little bitch, right? You actually have a reasonable excuse. I give you that. Like, May fucked you over.
Are you okay?
No, I am. It really pains me to say that you actually have an okay, reason for that not going well.
Not even holding on, though?
Yeah, no. Not even. If I went through what you went through, there's no way that I would have even survived the first lap. I would have been out the back.
I didn't survive the first lap.
No, I know. I'm saying that, even in my race, I would have been the same result. I would have been out the back on the first lap.
Yeah.
With my training, David and I still were out the back on the first lap.
I was eyeing dumpsters on the way home to throw my bike into. I was like, that would hold it. Oh, it's locked. So, the owners won't let me in. That one hold it. That one. Oh, that's on the other side of the highway. Something like that.
You're just trying to get a new bike.
Oh, that probably would have helped.
Eventually lead to that. That probably would have. You guys are right.
Yeah.
That was the only reason you got dropped, actually.
Yeah.
It was bike?
You need newer carbon.
You think so?
Yeah, the old carbon's so slow.
You're on 11 speed. It's 12 speed nowadays.
Yeah.
Or 13.
Don't forget the advantages of disc brakes.
Yeah.
And
especially on that course.
And electronic shifting.
Yeah,
I almost said electronic shitting.
Well, it does that sometimes.
It does do that sometimes.
Could have gotten away with a single speed on that course.
Yeah. I know that this is a global podcast, not intending to sound snooty there, but I do want to spend a little time breaking down our local cycling scene and potentially a microcosm of the overall picture of the state of cycling. And yes, I said microcosm. We just finished up this race this weekend and think we can easily admit that the numbers were not very good in terms of participants. Correct? Yes? Thoughts?
Overall, yes, but I was pretty pleased compared to last year.
Pleased, yes.
It's on the right direction.
Yeah, it's in the right direction, but it's just a bummer that
it's higher than it was higher than last year.
Yep.
In their field.
In their field.
Yeah.
In our field. Our field was tiny last year.
And
it was
better competition.
Better competition this year. But yeah, it was just a bummer that not more.
Because our fields were smaller.
Yes.
A good deal smaller. We're seeing and I talked to the race director of the event, and he had mentioned that up until 2 days prior they were minuscule. They got 50% of the registrants within the last 48 hours before the race.
Insane.
And we're seeing this happen, a steady stream of road events having these registration issues with these people kind of doing that. Why is this and this is not I know that we have a mountain bike series, regional mountain bike series, Dirt Abides, that has been dealing with some of the same things. They've been posting Facebook posts saying, hey, if you guys don't sign up, we can't make this race happen. When did this become a thing? Sam, you mentioned in a text that Fondos are selling out. Many of them are putting things down to a lottery type of a situation. That you get 600-700 riders. I signed up for Belgian Waffle in Bozeman in January, and the event is in late June. What in the fuck is going on between these genres and styles of racing that some people I don't want to play the my son's got a soccer tournament card. That's bullshit. Because I saw most of the participants at the race this weekend, and not a lot of them looked like they had kids.
And some were out there with the kids.
Yeah. So what is with this trend in not coming? We had a lot of people from the west side of our state who just didn't get in the car and come over. And by the way, shame on them. Because if we're going to go to your stuff, you got to come to ours. This is a tit for tat kind of thing. You want the sport to survive, you go to fucking races. And that's hypocritical of me because there's a couple of races I might not be attending. But what's going on? Does anybody have it?
I have an opinion on it, and I think it's just because I actually did this. Today was a really good sampling of the differences in road cycling because I had both bike fits that were high-end elite racers, and then I had people who were new, and actually a lot of them attended RC3. And but the people who were new were saying how intimidating it is to get into it.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that, because like back in the day, the fields were bigger. One, it really sucks to get dropped out of a race and be, like in a small field, right? And then you're just like, okay, well, that was kind of a cool small group ride, but now I'm just out here alone.
Yeah.
That sucks. So I think that we could do a better job of marketing it to like, hey, we're going to get you through this. Like the novice riders are who we're after, because those are the people that sign up like 6 months in advance because they're like, I'm going to, like I want to see what this event's like, and like try to provide, some good like support for them, and so they don't just get the harshness of like what road cycling can be.
Yeah.
And it's like having neutral feeds and stuff like that. Like come out, do this, event. And like, I think that if you can make it a more supportive thing, I think more people would show up and get interested in it and get bit by the bug.
I lay it heavily upon the fact that still this is a sport, road, and even generic mountain bike racing, where the gun goes off, and if you're dropped, your day's over. Yeah. You've spent all this money for nothing.
That's kind of what I was going to bring up. Is that like when you register for Belgian Waffle, you're going to have at least a decently good experience no matter what is going on that day for you personally. Like if you have a really good day, maybe you can like ride at the front and feel good about the result you put out. And if you have a really bad day, you still get snacks. You get snacks. It's a fun event. There's like other people having.
Oh, this is going to tap into Paul's rage. He's going to pop a rib just from tightening his abs.
There's other people having fun. You'll never be last. Like. You never have to worry. Most people don't have to worry about being last at a Fondo. And so I do think it's a less intimidating environment, and you have a higher guarantee of a good weekend than if you race and you have a bad weekend. You're just like, you dropped on I'm sure there were people that got dropped in the first 10 miles of our race.
I remember my first road race, and I went, and it was like outside of collegiate. 'Cause collegiate was technically my first like road race experience, but like I went and did this road race, and like I was so far out the back, they closed down the course. I was stuck out there with like, this was pre, like many like used MapQuest to get around, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, how do I get home? And I was like asking people that I saw on the side of the road, how do I get back to here? And because they had taken down all the road signs, right?
Shit.
Like I was that far out the back. And like, I still came back, but I'm just saying that, like if that happened to probably 99% of people, they'd be like, fuck that.
I don't think current cycling culture will accept that. Yeah. I don't think they would be willing to pay that money to be all alone like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say, I don't know if it's really the money to pay, because when I look at the cost of events, the Grand Fondos, the gravels are more expensive.
They are.
They are more expensive. So the money's not the issue. And then my question to Sam is, why would you continue on? What made you go, no, I'm going to give this another try? When 90%, like you said no.
Because I like getting my teeth knocked in.
Yeah, it's a certain attitude. Road
Thank
racing,
you, mistress.
Yeah.
May I have another?
Really, though.
This leash is a little tighter on the neck.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Bad boy, Sam.
Oh, God.
You're totally right, though. I mean, like, truly, like, that's the thing, and that is the culture of road cycling. But I think when people get into it, then they're like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, I like the cruelty of it, but, like, I think you do need the soft experience, and collegiate did that for me, because in collegiate it was very welcoming. It was just basically a party like club rides, and the A groups were very hard, but all the other ones were like, hey, let's go have fun and enjoy the bike. And so I think that if we could create that, like we did team time trials. I was actually talking to Ryan this last week about it, because collegiate cycling's over. That doesn't exist anymore. But when we did it, we did team time trials. Nope.
Shit, fuck.
Yeah, it's a really big bummer. But like, what if RC3 did team time trials?
That'd be cool.
It would be really cool, right? It would be kind of like building, like you stack whatever team you want to bring, and it's like three people have to finish.
That's gonna turn into another situation where people are gonna do that stage, because three people, you and Jackson and Paul and I are we don't have anybody to ride with. What if I don't have any friends?
No,
Sam?
but that's what I'm saying is that you would have to blow it out a little bit in the sense of like which categories you'd have to like extend past USAC, right? But like then I could race with you guys, right? Like it's just like you have to get a third person. Like 3 people have to cross the line, 4 people started was how collegiate racing worked. But yeah, I think that there's just other creative ways, as we've talked about in the past, that make it more welcoming and kind of like, hey, this is like how we get into this sport, and then we build it off of that. Because like where we're going with the cost of it, like, you know, I just paid $90. Was that a Freda?
Yeah.
$90 is EPO that I just did. I registered for that last night.
Yeah.
$90 for 2 days of really cool crit racing.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
I need you guys to clear out your minds. Focus. Just drain it of any preconceived opinions. And I'm looking at you, Paul. I need you to completely remove any, lessons learned, any prejudice, anything like that. Okay?
You're 3 years old again.
I live in empty.
You are an empty shell with some cycling knowledge. Okay? That's kind of how we are all the time, isn't it? Levi's Fondo. Okay? Road race. Fondo concept, right? Sure. Elite started at the front. Gun goes off. I don't know how far deep the field went, but everybody was there. What would have happened? It's hypothetical, okay? RC3. First of all, they're struggling with follow cars and lead cars. They had a volunteer problem. What it would have happened if you had one field with the 1s, 2s pros lining at the front, 1s, 2s, 3s lining up the front, all the way down, and you just fired the gun and you told everybody to go.
Fucking carnage would happen.
Why?
Let's do
the
it.
The same thing happens in Fondos. The same things happen in
because
gravel.
the speed's way less. And then
but Levi's Fondo was a road race.
No, I get where you're going, and I'm entertained. I'm down for it. Let's see, because there was a triathlete who was in the novice category who ran a 15-minute. Like he smoked my time in the time trial, but he's a novice. Like that guy'd be up in the 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah,
let's see it. I like it.
And I'd be racing with people. I don't know what category they're in, but I'd still be racing.
You still find somebody to race.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing is that...
What I'm saying is, no, you were fine. I'm not saying do it, because, I agree with you guys. You're riding along, and you've got some guy who's a genetic mutant who's in sneakers, and he's got his headphones on, and you're like, hey, buddy, you can't cross the center line. He goes, what? And he crosses over, and he takes everybody out, and, next thing you know, you're meeting St. Peter going, God, I wanted a couple more weeks. That kind of thing, but... Mastard?
I think that the issue with last weekend is that our course was for road racing. It was not pretty. It was not entertaining. It's kind of dull.
It's very tough course.
It's very tough because it's flat. It's windy.
Rolling hills,
flat, windy. It's a very hard race. But like Levi's Grand Fondo or Leavenworth that I just did, doesn't matter where you're at in the pack. You look around, it's freaking gorgeous. You're on a beautiful ride somewhere that most people have never been, like having a great experience. I don't really think people want to go out to race.
But then again,
plains.
I'm not talking about stopping for fucking photos. I'm talking about a race that everybody's racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like if we go back to the whole like Montana race that we did a couple of years ago, right? Like they just let everybody loose on the crit course and like you just kept racing. Like that's a cool concept, right? You got the really fast guys that are like lapping everybody 2 times if your name's David, lapping them
4
once
times
if you're Sam.
Name's Paul.
Yeah. Like a fucking owl out there, like
you're all just like
rotating.
God again.
We're gonna show these guys how Spokane bike races. Oh my God,
like,
they're fast.
You watch.
Yeah,
I feel like we've said it so many times of like the whole FU USAC. Like I understand why USAC exists. I do buy a license because I want to support it to an extent, but I also think that in our region we have to recreate or rethink what racing is and try to come up with a new model. And I think doing things like team time trial, right? So it's like, you can bring in some novice and kind of like work them through the process. You could do a mass start road race. It requires less volunteers, right? And so it's like, it may not, like people may not be getting points for the, like race like you do to upgrade your category, but at least like you get the.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know how it works.
We all had chips. We
Yep.
all had timing chips. We came across the line. It registered. It put us into category regardless
some
of
of
where
us
you
came
finished.
across the line.
Yeah. Well, I went across the finish line and said, "Number 486 is dropping out." And they went, "Thanks for letting us know." And I was like, "God, fuck you." I was being nice.
And then you heard them going, "No shit."
Yeah, no shit.
That was cool.
That Bulger, once upon a time in the 80s, he wasn't so bad. I hear. Not many people left. He's like the last generation. Like, I remember World War II. I remember when Pat was fast.
Yeah.
To your point, 24-hour mountain bike race.
Yeah.
One of the best events of the year.
Yeah.
Everybody should do it.
Great event.
Great event.
Nice.
That first lap with the stupid Le Mans start and everybody.
Is that the lap where you got beat by a kid?
Okay. You know what? He's incredibly fast.
He's 14 years old.
Yeah.
And he's superhuman.
He doesn't drink.
He doesn't. Yeah, and he doesn't have a girlfriend. So
I have a girlfriend.
who would you
I'm
rather
a wife.
be? Who would you rather be? Tell me. Anyways,
The kid with my whole life ahead of me.
And his balls just dropped that weekend.
They just dropped. Mom, look at me. I did it.
yeah.
It's a Le Mans! I'm going to eat.
So yes, that 14-year-old did beat me. But my point is that it was a huge mass start. There's people in unicorn costumes or whatever, and
They were personal trainers this year.
well, whatever. There's people that are doing that are like walking the Le Mans and doing a 24. They're doing the whole 24 solo, and then there's like maybe 10 people that actually want to win that first lap, and it just feels so intense because of all of the people at that mass start. That is the most racy lap and one of my favorite starts of the year.
Yeah.
Even though in reality I'm racing like 3 people.
Yeah.
Like there's probably only 2 or 3 other people that actually want to win that first lap with me.
Yeah.
But it felt
But it's
awesome.
coveted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so this mass start idea, now I'm giving you some credit here. I'm saying it's not terrible.
You're not a total idiot.
I'll punch holes in it.
Do.
And because it's different.
Because I'm old and crusty.
Because road, yeah. That doesn't have appeal, and neither does a 4-man TT, because I think that really limits a lot of people because it takes technique to do. I mean, it's good. Team time trials are something you have to work at. And so, it would be fun for us because we've all been involved with TTTs. So,
But that's how you get better.
But the thing is it doesn't draw for those people who don't like TTs.
People aren't there.
They're like going to go, no, I'm not doing that. Because there is a big group of people that hate TTs, but they like to climb a mountain. So the thing is stage races that have a variety. Like, we got to look at models that are successful. And I would say, big grab, ready?
Turtle
You're
bloom.
empty. Turtle bloom.
I gotta.
Obviously, he's got a recipe. That's a model to follow.
Yeah.
He had 133 women. It was a UCI race. When I did it back in, I think I did it once in 2009 when it first started. It was just a crit or something like that. Right after the parade, it's shuffled people away and scooped up the horse shit that was on the road.
Yeah.
To where it is now. It's amazing. And I think that's the model. He's very supportive. It takes a lot of effort for a promoter to do that. Now, to get young people involved, Grand Fondos are great. And I think mountain bikes in 24 hours, those are great. But road racing it takes what you went through, Sam, an individual, and there's not very many people out there that are willing to get their teeth knocked in saying, shit, that's it. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to figure out what this is. That's how I got into it.
Yeah.
Was like, I am not rolling over and to die. And that is a select group.
Yeah.
Now, anybody can go out, have a Grand Fondo, put a unicorn suit on, and that's fine, and they have fun, and it's a festival. Road racing is not a festival
I will
until the last stage and you get drunk.
Yeah. I will say though that because of the declining numbers in cycling, that something that is becoming more demoralizing for people. When I raced in the 80s, you had junior fields. You would still get dropped, but you could play around for a while. You were in your demographic, and I'm going to mildly pick on our local series here. I race in the B group, right? Okay, there are people in the B group who should not be in the B group. They're faster than that. They're younger. They're faster. They're studs. They just raced the A group and they got 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now they come to our race and they kick the shit out of us. And then you see in the RC3 race where you've got a combination of fields. Clint was in my race. Dude's fast. Dude's fast.
Hilarious.
But he was, and I'm not bashing Clint because he was racing his category and he was like, I got a bunch of shit going on in my life, and I don't want to race 1s, 2s, 3s, so I'm going to race 3s, 4s. He can, and the rules state that you can. But when you've got fields that are being combined with people of varying different abilities and strengths, so I'm almost here I am punching holes in my own theory here too. When you've got smaller fields, it makes it demoralizing again. So a new person to the sport or a person who's been at the sport for a long time rolls home and cries himself to sleep.
That felt specific.
I rocked back and forth in the shower for a while, though.
That's right.
Yeah,
was I talking to Jackson about this when we were announcing? I don't remember. But it was like in no other thing are they going to combine men's and women's fields, too.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mine had the elite women in it.
Yeah. Right?
And like studs, but there were only 2 of them, which was
absolutely. But
also.
Like nothing to say anything about women's racing with this comment. I'm just saying that should be a separate category.
Yeah.
Like that was like an argument back in the day about gravel, like making it men's and women's,
because otherwise women doing that.
Exactly, because otherwise the women are going to tag in with the faster, and it blows up their entire field. It's a different race.
Yeah.
So it's like that shouldn't be a combined category. But I understand what they're trying to do. They have to.
Yeah.
To promote a race, and I heard there was a guy that came in when I was announcing or giving my attempt to announce the 1, 2, 3 race.
So hard on yourself, Paul.
I
you're
know,
good.
it was not
God
good.
damn it. You're good.
It was not good.
You were
Anyway,
not good
I'm
because you did a preem when I was on a breakaway. What the hell?
I was told by the officials. So
not only did you do a preem on the breakaway, but also you did a preem when
that was all officials told me when. I didn't get to make the choice. Yeah,
I made mine.
They wanted at 40 and 20 minutes left.
Oh,
40 minutes left and 20. So
man,
but let me get to my point.
Fucking
bastards.
point. God.
So this guy came up and he's like, he's just doing the crit, and he goes, "Where are the 40 plus? How does this work?" And I said, "You're with the 1, 2, 3s." Really?
Yeah.
And then I go, "Yeah, but you're scored separately." Oh, okay, but it's like, well, how do I keep track? But luckily, I should have just said, "Dude, your numbers.
Yeah.
You start with 300s. Anybody below that, you'll see that they're the 1, 2, 3s. So but it in a way, that to me, that's the thing that we have to do in order to have. You don't want to pack like those 2 ladies in your group.
Yeah, 2 people racing.
Yeah, that would not be fun. No. Throw them in there. They can kind of mix it up in the.
And logistically, for a promoter, you can't do that. You can't do everything. You can't have a follow car and a lead car on a field of 2.
No,
you can't do that.
And that's why the groups are all combined.
Yeah,
because you can only have, here in Spokane, only how many people? It's so hard to get people to volunteer.
Yeah,
and then give up a weekend. Oh, drive your own car, and you have to do this, and So
in other words, we spent almost an hour, and we have come to no conclusion.
I would say
I have all the answers.
I would say the model we should chase is Tour de Bloom. Ace is doing a good job.
Yeah,
I think patience has to be it. If you're going to start a program like RC3, is just pick up the pieces every year and say, okay, what? So the numbers were from the West Side were pretty good last year, but the road race was the state championships.
Yeah,
that brought them over. So that's what you have to think about. So what
enticement?
And we don't have much here on the east side of the state, so there really has to be a reason for them to pack up and go over.
I think also what he has going is he's done a really cool downtown crit.
I was going to say a marquee event that really brings out
people.
And that brings sponsors too.
Exactly. I mean, I had friends go from Spokane to Wenatchee to watch us race, and they wanted to see what this was. Right?
Are you calling me a friend?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you were there, weren't you?
You were there. I
didn't
forgot
race.
that.
I just drove over and watched you guys.
You did
Yeah.
a lot for sleeping, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Pretty much.
but I just think that like if we did a cool like a crit that wasn't out in an industrial park, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I get why it is.
They
Like,
got
I
it.
Yep,
It's
I get
easier,
it. But it's just one of those things. Like I think
logistics.
those are the types of things we can improve on.
Yeah. Okay. And marketing. I think
Yeah.
marketing is a gigantic element. And I personally, as the promoter of a 24-hour mountain bike race, that I had a race official tell me that, you guys are basically the biggest one-day event in the state. And I went, oh, shit, I don't know if that's cool. But I think that marketing is something that I know my event needs to work on. You mentioned, Sam, just the idea, thank you, Paul, of a super week.
I'm telling you, we gotta market it.
Something like that, and try and entice people to come to Spokane. Not for a week of racing, but
for a week of racing.
Well,
for
just
Spokane Super Week of racing.
How do you get that going? How do you and then do you add a gravel event to it to make it a boom, 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 where every genre of cycling is covered? This is Spokane's themed
Super week.
It's a themed week. You could have a road event, a gravel event, and a mountain event, and it's all within 15 days of each other or something like that. I think that could be something
1 week. Spokane.
Nobody's going to come here for 15 days.
Nobody's going to come here for 15 days.
Well, then they're not supposed to come here for 15 days. They're supposed to. It's a theme within the community, and you can attend one event or none of events or all the events.
It's Spokane Super Week.
You have to do them all.
weeks.
I am almost out of time, so we're going to switch to our very quick version of news and commentary brought to us by our friends at Untapped Maple. Fuel using the finest Vermont maple syrup with pure Vermont energy that doesn't linger in your mouth, mess with your gut, or add that bloaty feeling you get after regular fuel. Thank you. Thank you so much for Untapped Maple. You guys, we're going to have to do a crash course because we're trying to do a show in under an hour and we're running out of time. Giro d'Italia, was it the best Grand Tour of the year, regardless of what the Tour de France is going to be? Paul Main.
I think, it usually is. It's usually the most.
Honestly, it was... And I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. It was because he who cannot be named was not there. And I'm not talking about Lance. I'm talking about Todd Yates. Because he wasn't there, it made the racing equal and more fun.
Why would you use that analogy?
I don't know.
If Jonas wasn't there, it would also be the same thing, though. Like, if Jonas was there, oh, yeah, I think so. Anyway, but I do agree with you. It was a phenomenal race, but I'm going to be at the Tour, so it might be better.
Probably.
How about takeaways, surprises, anything like that? Okay, mine was EF Education Easy Post in terms of what they did as a team with Casper Askren taking a stage with the absolute amazing return of Richard Carapaz. That was the one I wanted to take away.
Super cool.
I don't think it was a surprise, but it was a surprise that Wout was the lead guy in the beginning, and then it was like exactly the Wout that you would expect in the end. Like the one who just sacrificed himself like completely for a teammate to win.
We had an awakening moment with Wout van Aert this year, and that was so beautiful to see. He used a ketchup bottle analogy in one of his interviews. He says, "You ever turn over a ketchup bottle and nothing comes out, and nothing comes out, and nothing comes out, and then all of a sudden you tap it once and it just comes flying out." I'm paraphrasing him, but that's basically what he said in relation to how his Giro went, how his season has gone, and how Visma Lease Bike's season has gone.
I'm such a super fan. That guy's amazing.
Yeah,
that was him of a couple of years ago where he just dominated the Tour. He was in the yellow. He helped Jonas win the yellow. He's amazing. It was really cool to see him back in top form.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think even the stage 20 has so much narrative going on.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It was, a redemption for Yates, a place where he lost 38 minutes that day, and that's what he focused on. And little did he know that it was going to cost, give him the win overall. And then the strategy of Visma was like, I don't know, those two between Del Toro and Carapaz. That's a discussion for a show.
There was
a lot of things going on.
Was that thrown away?
There were a lot of...
And if so, by whom?
I would lean more towards Del Toro. Del Toro, because he was in the lead, and his concern was that, the violent attacks that Carapaz has, he can't do that. He's got to stay within that zone. And when Yates attacked, he attacked on the fourth time, he got away, but he broke the record. Yates broke the record for that hill, which was set by Froome when he lost, but he beat it by like 5 minutes or something on top of that. So he was on fire anyway. But I think it's more of a blunder for UAE because how many times? Well, they couldn't. Who would they put up there? You put up.
There wasn't anybody left.
Well, no, they could have, like, when the attacks went, when you see Wout go, you mark them.
Yeah.
Well, then the break would have never gone away because you can put McNulty up there and no one's going to work.
Yeah.
It's like, screw that. So they were kind of stuck there, but the problem was not having Del Toro cooperate going up that hill once Yates started getting around that 1 minute, because he was a minute 21 behind.
Yeah.
And 43 seconds behind was Carapaz on Del Toro. And Del Toro just sat in. And it's like, don't you know, haven't you not seen this happen 4 times with Visma? When Van Aert's up the road, no one's going to be able to. He dropped Tade.
Yeah.
When he was helping out on stage, I think it was stage 11 and 2023. This is what's going to happen. He's going to wait for him, get him in the valley, and then rip your legs off or up the hill first part. It was, that satellite, sending up a satellite rider up ahead.
Yeah.
It's a great method, and they were able. What UAE should have probably done is like kept that break with Van Aert down to like 3 minutes, because he's going to lose tons on that climb.
Yeah.
And so, that's how they should have controlled it.
Wout made it sound like that was not the plan.
It was the plan.
It was all along.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It played out perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did see another post somewhere, but I hate to wrap up the Giro coverage in a 3-minute segment, but the greatest rivalries of all time. Merckx, and who would be a good Merckx comparison, Paul? Merckx
and Van Imp.
Merckx and Van Imp, okay. And Le Mans. And apparently Roglic and Mother Earth.
That guy finds the gravity storms like no one else. It's just like a gravity storm.
How does this guy always end up on the tarmac? He's not a bad bike rider. It's not, we can't relate it to the fact that he's a bad bike rider, because that's not true. I've seen him do some amazing stuff on a bike, but he always ends up on the ground.
Yeah.
It's just like this man is cursed. Mm-hmm. His ass needs to be on the pavement.
He is not as good of a bike handler, though, as some others.
Yeah. Well,
but I do agree with you.
Yeah.
He's like, he's pro for a reason.
It's so sad.
It is.
And before we get to our segments, I do want to actually say, and I'm probably the only one who gives a shit about this, but I did watch the coverage of Unbound Gravel this weekend. And
did you fall asleep?
No, I did not fall asleep. My wife and I watched it again. Now it was 6 hours and 47 minutes of coverage, and we fast forwarded through. But it was far better this year than last year. Last year was a train wreck, and then the flow bike year was even worse. But it is getting better. It was live coverage. I didn't watch live. I watched the recorded version. They had good, competent announcers. They had flashback segments, and they had segments mixed in about rider profiles, about stuff like that. It was all really good, solid pieces to keep things going, because there's a lot of stuff in the meantime. And for the most part, the footage was clear, the footage was consistent, and there were very few dropouts. And the only thing I would complain is one of the commentators gave away the finale of the XL, the long distance, the 350, in this person's commentary. And I'm like, oh shit, you don't want to do that. I wanted to find out who won, on my own. But it's coming, and I think that's going to help the sport in a lot of ways.
So was there motorcycle cameras or mainly aerial?
I think it was both. And I think they had some ATVs kind of setups, where they had it on the back of the 4-person, what is it? I don't know what the fuck they call them anymore, but an ATV, and they were able to do it that way and have a pretty solid camera mount on that, and with the situation you're dealing with where you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to get a cell signal, but they were able to get it better this year, and it's getting there.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why are the speeds 35% faster than they have been in the previous years this year?
Doping.
Tire width.
You need to watch GCN.
This year was dry, which helped.
So the winning time when in 2016, Ted King won.
Yeah.
He averaged 17 point something miles an hour for 200 miles.
Yeah.
This year it was 23.5 or more.
Nothing against Ted King. You're talking about field quality too.
I was just going to say, you're talking about
he was talking
It's
about
evolved.
it has evolved a little bit on technology,
Yeah.
but he said more than anything else, it's diet.
Yeah.
Because he goes, people aren't stopping for food.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're they already got it, and if they do, it's like a pit stop and they're out.
Yeah.
So
and it's also there's this big struggle, and there's a great article in Escape Collective right now talking about where gravel is going and what could potentially be lost, and the fact that Pete Stetna says it best. He doesn't want it to be a second best ground for bike racers who are on their way out. It's gravel racing should not be a second tier sport. Guys who are in the World Tour coming down racing gravel, it's got to have its own. It's in a huge growth spurt, but
I
that's
think
a whole other show.
like the tech coming into that right now is very high. Like there's a lot of gains being made. So I think that's a really big part of it. I think the speeds are going to continue to really climb for the next few years.
And as technology evolves too.
Yep.
So, all right, you guys, that's how quick we got to go. Let's get to our segments. We got to go fast. Thanks to you, our listeners. Patreon page is up on the homepage, and thanks to many of you, we are not only able to keep the lights on, but beer flowing through these conversations. That's why we get a little silly. If you'd like to help support the show, be sure to check out the Patreon. First off, we're gonna go with Changing Times with the one and only Paul Main. His theme tonight, and I love how you give me themes, is going out on your shield, which is I think I've heard the term, but I keep thinking Captain America.
So you know where that comes from?
No.
Boxing.
Oh.
So it refers to a fighter who's losing the fight, but he's given everything. I mean, he's throwing haymakers, doing whatever. Even if he goes down, he fights to get up and keeps going and going no matter what. What made me think about that is, kind of our topic, what causes people not to get into road racing, because, there's sometimes you just need to go out on your shield and just fight until the very end. And my frustration, I think, on the UAE side of the Giro was the willingness that, or the unwillingness of Del Toro throwing the dice and saying, listen, I'm going to lose this whole thing if I don't cooperate with Carapaz, but, I got to do what I can do. I can limit it and help him out and just hope for the best. Or I can sit here and just watch it go away.
Yeah.
And so what if he did, to me it's like at a certain point when they're hit that 1 minute, Yates had that 1 minute and he's still 21 seconds and he's got wide up ahead, you've got to go. Even if you crash and burn, you've got to go out on your shield. I think that's it's unfortunate for the race, not for Del Toro. I think I'd rather have more respect. And Levi Leipheimer, when we had him on the show, he said his favorite tour was 1987 Tour de France, and the famous episode, you guys can look it up. It's Le Plan in Le Plan, and Stephen Roach did an attack. He was behind. He was trying to knock off Delgado and get as much time as he could. He gambled and just got caught on the last climb and started coming unglued, put in his big ring and came across the line, passed out.
Yeah.
They
put on oxygen.
Went to the hospital. The next day was the rest day, I think it was, or something. And so, I mean, he went out on a shield, and he didn't make it.
Yeah.
But then he did not lose.
No.
He died?
By the way,
he didn't get the yellow jersey, is I guess what I should have to say. But he only gave
somebody
up.
has an interview with him about that very day.
Oh, yeah.
Look in the
yes,
archives.
You do. Yes, you do.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Paul.
So, anyway, he he was, I think, down to 50 seconds with like 2 kilometers to go. He ended up grabbing everything back with 8 seconds.
Yeah.
And that the time trial, he was a better time trialist than Delgado, and the race was his. But he went out on a shield, whether he was able to recover or not. So that's bike racing. That's road racing.
That term. I like that term.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I did not go out on my shield last weekend.
Wait, so did he win that tour or no?
Well, I tried.
Yes, he did.
Okay. all right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And he
1987.
won the Giro and the
And the
World
Worlds
Championships.
that year.
He
The
was
Triple
the
Crown.
last one to do it
Yep.
before Tadej last year.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Legend.
He is. He is.
It is a
He's-
great. That's a great. The CBS version of that, because you get a feeling of what Pat and I went through.
Yeah.
Send us the
John
link.
Tesh,
Yeah.
music and stuff.
I should post a link to that show, that
Yeah.
interview. I should do that. People say link down below.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's on the
Put it
homepage.
on the YouTube.
If there is a page on our website that's the interviews, the Packfiller interviews, and
Mhm.
Stephen Roach is listed there. The
Yeah,
whole
but
show.
I want like a link to that video.
I will
It's
not
not a
send
video.
it to you. I will send it
All right.
No.
I want it in the YouTube of this.
version.
Fit Tips with Bike Fit Sam, brought to you by Ambassador Cycling. Get fit to get fit. God, I hate that you're nice to me sometimes, and I have to be nice to you back. And that's, by the way, a really cool shirt. I like that.
Thank you.
I was thinking of getting Packfiller shirts that are kind of that
You
style.
should.
You think we should all get
These are
shirts
club ride shirts, and you should get them.
for all of us?
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of mechanic looking shirts.
Yes.
thing?
Definitely. I'll work to work.
Yep.
You wear it to work.
I will too.
Don't get blood on it.
I try not to.
Sam, I think the topic tonight was fitting before an event.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, that makes me nervous.
Yeah, honestly, like I came up with this, about a week ago, and I think that like it just depends, because with some people that roll in, they're so far out of alignment that I'm like, no matter what you're going to be in, like I'm going to send you out the door in the correct numbers. You should not have a problem, right?
Yeah.
It should be better, at least, with your event and having less pain. But there's also like kind of a asterisk to that, and that like today I did a fit to a guy who he was outside of the numbers. We put that like to be a little bit more like accurate. That's talking like your knee angles and all that, right?
Sure.
So like I got him within those numbers, but he used to be very upright, and we already had lowered him. And I'm like, you know what? Let's not be too dramatic about this, because you do have a big event coming up in 2 weeks, and if we make a really big adjustment, you're probably going to maybe be struggling with it. So there is like a fine line to that, but I do believe that like even if you have pain and you have an event coming up, come in and see me or your bike fitter, and like it should make it better, right? Like I don't think that necessarily holds true that you like don't touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, at first when I saw the topic, I was like, "Oh shit!" Especially if you're doing okay, if you're riding along, and then you go in right before an event, and they're like going, "Oh, we're gonna tweak your saddle, we're gonna do this." And the next thing you're like, "Oh my god, my knees are on fire," because you become so. I mean, I'm thinking of this as the long-term cyclist. I looked at Paul for that. Where we're so set into our position. Okay, I'm gonna find you something more efficient. I should probably not do that right before an event.
I totally agree with that. That's spot on. If you have been riding in that position for a very long time, and it's like something has maybe come up because you increased the volume, all that, then don't change that right now. Just decrease your volume and try to follow the RICE protocol: rest, ice, compression, elevation.
There we go.
But that's probably the one other like caveat to it.
I never would have thought that it is such an ongoing process, that it is not a fix it and done.
Yeah, like today I did a fit on a guy that I did a fit last year, and his fit had entirely changed. And for no reason besides he just is ridden way more. He was a novice rider last year, and he's ridden way more. So fits change, especially in the beginning.
Penis enlargement surgery.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to get the production.
I
Did you?
reduction. Yeah. From 4 to 3.
4 to 3. Our last segment of the night, Ask Dr. David.
This is such a goofy.
You expected anything different?
No.
This one actually came out of my brain. You're seeing a lot of these breathe rate strips on people's noses. You're seeing some of these things that my watch has been telling me that I've got breathing disruptions during my night, which is
Sleep
probably
apnea.
Well, probably
that's
apnea.
sleep apnea.
But then I because I mentioned it, I think while my phone was within 5 feet of me, the algorithm has found me, and I have more mouth guards being offered and things like that. And one of them in particular spoke about using it specifically for recovery purposes.
At night?
Yeah. And the same company also offers them one for like inactivity, like weightlifters using this bike guard to actually assist with their breathing and stuff like that. But anyway, in cycling, we tend to see a lot of these gimmicks, these nose strips and things like that. I don't know about you guys, but I never breathe through my nose when I'm riding.
No.
But
absolutely not.
So I'm sure you're going to probably make it quick, like saying they're all stupid. Yeah. But what what about all of these things, and how do they help or assist? And with even leading into the apnea idea.
Yeah, I think I think the breathe right strips in particular, when you're talking about during exercise, is an example of somebody. It's kind of like the supplement industry, where they take something that they kind of saw a result on and they just extrapolate it and try to like overpromise. So,
okay,
if you breathe through your nose, we do know that it's better for your health overall at rest, right? Like lowers blood pressure, lowers stress. It is physiologically normal for you to breathe at rest through your nose, not your mouth. But
I didn't know that.
But
that's what yoga's all about.
Yep.
I'm one of those football player guys.
It's better for
mouth
like.
breather.
You want to go to the prom?
Your mouth breather. It's also better for your dental hygiene.
You got a rocket body.
It is better for dental hygiene.
You bounce a coin off that ass.
Again, oddly specific. But like, because I've seen them advertised for exercise, and my exact thought is, when the F are you breathing through your nose?
Yeah.
Like, I could be completely congested, would not change my ability. You're 100% through your mouth during a race.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, completely a gimmick. Now, there are people that will like advertise them at night, or maybe if you have like a deviated septum and your nasal passages aren't wide enough at baseline, maybe it would help you like breathe through your nose at night instead of your mouth, which, in line with those mouth guards. The point of those is typically moving your jaw forwards, trying to prevent the tongue from collapsing backwards and like closing off your airway and causing you to snore.
Yeah.
And open your mouth and breathe through your mouth, because it would be better if you breathe through your nose at night. It would be better for your overall health and recovery. So I don't think that I wouldn't say you should go out and get a mouthpiece if you sleep normally and you're not a snorer, and you have no apnea. I think if that's the case, then you probably sleep just fine and you don't need anything. But we do use mouthpieces for sleep apnea in medicine, for mild sleep apnea, because it can reduce the apnea-hypopnea index at night, the amount of times you kind of dip your oxygen, stop breathing or dip your oxygen down. So there's some validity there, but typically, you get a sleep study and maybe work with a dentist or something like that. So I don't know about the online ones. I don't know how they're fitting it. I don't know what their claims are. But, the idea that you just need to breathe wider through your nose all the time is probably not correct either.
It's like that hostage tape. Do you remember that stuff?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's
Like,
coming across on my algorithm now.
Tape your mouth at night, or
Yeah.
But you know what the problem is just
He's
because
taking
you're
it off in the
breathing-
morning with a mustache.
Well, yes, but just because you're breathing through your nose.
Good fucking morning.
Just because you're breathing through your nose doesn't make it better. What if you're hypoxic all night and you're in the 70s?
Yeah.
Your O2 stats in the 70s because you
you're
have
congestion.
or a deviated nasal septum and you can't breathe through your nose and you taped your mouth shut.
That's dumb.
That's not going to help.
Oh my God.
You know
it's
what? You-
Crazy.
You'd be fine because you just wake up dead.
Yes,
You'd wake up dead.
dead.
You're dead. All right. Okay. That answers
Don't
something.
waste your money.
Too late.
Unless your doctor told you to,
Too late.
or your watch.
I already did.
Good.
Yeah.
You bought some nasal strips?
No, I
Just
bought
by the
I
turbine
bought a
things?
mouth guard thing that actually it doesn't move your jaw out, but what it encourages you to actually do is
Tap dance?
No,
Oh.
for your tongue to naturally just rest farther forward in your mouth.
How does it do that?
By
It's
pushing your jaw forwards.
no, it's got a little bridge right
hold
behind
your
my
tongue,
front
just, like,
teeth,
hook it on
right
there.
behind my front teeth, and it just my tongue just naturally rests a little bit farther forward. It's not annoying. It's not doesn't
you
draw
have
my
it?
what?
You have it now?
Yeah, I've tried it the last 4 nights.
Did you
I
stop
gotta see
snoring?
I'm getting used to it, and my numbers are slowly starting to dip down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Further studies needed.
Oh
Further
God,
studies,
yes.
yes.
And I'm thinking as I sit here and I go, that was one side of my nostrils. That's the other side of my nostrils. It's because I've been crying all day.
On there.
It's because I've been crying all day.
That's
Because
fair.
of him?
Yeah.
He's coming
No,
to
it's the
show?
realization of what my life has become.
55 years old, and this is it.
Yeah, all I got are memories.
I'm not throwing my bike in the
drop from
dumpster. I'm
bike
driving my
races.
life in the dumpster.
All I got are memories, man. It's all I got. I'm sitting out here in this green fucking room, and anyway, let's talk to the audio. Final question. Hey, you guys, be sure to like and subscribe to the show. Final question is, audiobooks, gentlemen, do they count as actual reading? Yeah, why or why not? Sam.
No, but I do enjoy it. I only listen to audiobooks, but it's not reading.
You don't think it's reading? Paul.
I would say it does. If it's the story and it makes your imagination, that's what reading's all about. I don't think it's a direct substitute for reading, because reading is a skill that you need to practice. But
Yes.
if for storytelling, I think it's fine.
Yep.
It
David?
doesn't count as a book. That's my opinion.
Wow.
Doesn't count as a book.
Stimulates a different part of the brain.
When you say I read this book, but you listen to
No,
Yeah.
you can't say
it
that.
doesn't count.
See,
no, you can't.
I
say
run
that.
into
say
that.
you listen to it.
I
Yeah.
ran into that. I said, oh, yeah, I read that. Oh, shit, I didn't really read
Yeah.
it. I listened to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I prefer listening to some books.
Counts
Yeah,
as a
I
story,
agree.
yeah.
I think you do need to make that clarification.
Yeah, you do.
It's more work to read it.
Yeah.
Sounds really cool when you say I read the whole Dune series.
Nobody's done that.
Well, my wife's listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, nerds. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as pop a review every now and then. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We will catch you next week. Congratulations to Jackson on the 3rd place, and happy birthday to his lovely wife.
What a
Yes.
baller.
There we go.
Yeah.
What a baller.